Hello, I'm Chris Barrow with the BBC News. Sudan's army says it's launching a large-scale attack from all directions on the capital Khartoum in an effort to recapture areas held by the rival Rapid Support Forces. It's urged people to remain indoors and stay away from windows as it deploys tanks and other artillery in spite of a ceasefire. Our Africa editor Will Ross has more details.
Earlier on, we had heard of the Rapid Support Force positions in the capital being bombed from the air by the military and some anti-aircraft fire in the other direction. We've also had some statements from the two sides. The army has just put one out saying that 10 brigades of the army are invading the capital. The Rapid Support Forces are saying that the army is also deploying a notorious police unit. Certainly the battle for Khartoum seems to be going up a notch. All talk of a ceasefire completely null and void now. There's nobody clearly from either side that's even mentioning it.
The US government says it's completed the first evacuation of its citizens from Sudan. The State Department said US nationals and permanent residents had been taken by convoy to Port Sudan and were now crossing by boat to Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. Around 2,000 people of various nationalities have already reached Jeddah from eastern Sudan. Jamila Al-Mutassim, who fled Khartoum, said conditions in Port Sudan were increasingly chaotic.
The city is overcrowded with foreigner people, all nationalities. You can't find a room. People are all over the streets, all over the mosques, sleeping on the floors, sleeping outside on the streets.
A manhunt is underway in Texas for a suspect who police believe shot dead 5 neighbours after they asked him to stop shooting practice so their baby could sleep. Police say they believe the suspect is still within several kilometres of the scene in the town of Cleveland, north of Houston. Here's our North America correspondent, Jessica Parker.
The victims approached their neighbour who had been firing a gun, a rifle, in his front yard and asked him to stop doing that because they were trying to get a baby to sleep. Following this, a shooting unfolded in the house of the victims. 5 people have died, including an 8-year-old boy. 4 other people died as well, among them 2 women who were found in a room lying on top of 2 other children who did survive.
The authorities in Colombia have reissued warnings that people living close to a volcano that may erupt should evacuate. The Nevado del Ruiz volcano has been on orange alert since March the 30th, meaning a large eruption is expected in the coming days or weeks. This is the latest world news from the BBC. The messaging app Telegram has had its suspension in Brazil lifted. An appeals court judge overturned a lower court's decision, citing its impact on people's freedom to communicate. On Wednesday, a judge temporarily halted the app in Brazil for failing to cooperate with a police investigation into neo-Nazi groups accused of inciting violence in schools. Protests have taken place in Israel for the 17th consecutive week against plans to overhaul the judicial system. Demonstrators in Tel Aviv, where the main rally was held, screened a video of Spain's Socialist Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez expressing his solidarity with the protests. Israel's foreign minister criticised Mr. Sanchez, saying that no foreign entity will decide for the public in Israel. The Archbishop of Canterbury will ask millions of British subjects around the world to swear allegiance to King Charles during his coronation next Saturday. It's one of several striking changes to the ancient ceremony, where female clergy will play a prominent role for the first time. The Christian service will also see religious leaders from other faiths have an active part. Our religious editor, Ali McBull, has more.
This will still be a traditional religious coronation service, but Lambeth Palace has revealed several striking changes to the last one in 1953. Most notably, perhaps, will be an invitation, not just to those in the Abbey, but people watching, to join what they're calling a chorus of millions in together swearing an oath of allegiance to the King and his heirs. During the service, the King himself will pray out loud, and for the first time, there'll be a hymn sung in Welsh, Scottish Gaelic and Irish Gaelic.
A sculpture's been unveiled in Norway in memory of a walrus called Freya, who gained popularity for sunbathing in a fjord but was then killed by the authorities. An online campaign raised $25,000 to create a life-size bronze sculpture of Freya. BBC News.